Hey, so I just want to let everyone know that is watching this video that this is actually a compilation video of all my other videos that I've made during the part of this whole retrospective. The only thing I do want to say is this: if you are a returning watcher and wanting to watch this video, I will say this that the first part does use the recording of the Juneflex version of the video, but most of the video will be summed out with new audio, if anything. Put in the simplest of explanations that the movie from Shakugan no Shana is actually the first arc, while the rest of the part will be new audio and new visual pieces. Because guess what? I wasn't trying to get copyright the first time I was doing this, but then I figured out that this was going to just be easy. But if you're someone new and just want to watch this version, be my guest. So in this one, we're going through the final part of the series, the Shana movie. So in the timeline of things of me watching this is pretty much the last part of things I am watching, but technically this is supposed to be the middle point before watching the second part, because guess what? This came out in 2007. In spring 2007, the series was ongoing in Japan and it ended, and the end credits showed the first part of the announcement of the movie. And the movie was released at Dengeki Bunko's Movies Festival and gets a home release in September that year. We didn't get this until 2013. Fucking ocean dub. So, what's the plot of the movie? Will it have an impact upon the series or the anime? Or will it just be true to the light novel? Or blur the line? Okay, I'm leaving. Well, to give you the short end of the stick, this is the first light novel being retold in the movie, but here's the details with one of the villains being a part of it, Fragne shooting and flame haze, and we get foreshadowing on how the world with it works with humans, and they notice so far and so forth. With the following day being a reintroduction of how Yuji met Shana, with things going beat for beat, and the same scene at the CD shop, but given more of a faster pace of how things are going, because instead of going about the average workday, we're only going to be here for an hour and a half. With tragic hitting once fourth with the demon that begins eating souls, as soon Yuji gets hurt, we get to see who saves him. It's Shana, and with defeating the monster and restoring everything, we get Yuji's experience from this for the first time, and how everything is done and how everything is paused, and for the viewers to see what visually happens and how the story is restored, and Shana giving to him a code way of saying how everything in the world is built. Basically, the Rene takes the humans, with the humans being vital to her job and the others to bring balance, and some humans are torches because of their souls being eaten. So to keep them alive, they will be torches for temporarily until they're not remembered. After this incident, we get to see Fragne and see what he's up to, stalking our hero. But nonetheless, Yuji is kind of down by this whole thing and learns that her mom's not at least a torch. And oh look, Feminina! As Yuji walks to school, Shana comes along with him because he's special, because he has a special treasure tool. We get to see how torches are affected by the Rene because of Haria, and we start to see how she just becomes more and more invisible towards others and disappears to the world. Well, she left, but disappears in front of his eyes and leaving a bad photo now.
There's no way to stop it from happening.
Great. And Yuji, in a fit of grief, kind of pushes Shana's buttons and finds out that she actually has no name or a family. Technically, she's called by her sword in the series, but hey, if you watch those, you're only watching this because you're interested on what the movie is about. With the following school day, look who isn't dead! It's Harari! Wait, no, that's Shana. But yeah, she takes over her body and pretty much goes off by her. So, practically, to just give you the ruling of things, I kind of am going to just treat this as an introduction for someone that doesn't know the series. So yeah, she kind of does that, and then now she's kind of just in disguise in that way, where she can actually interact with the real world without, it being weird or something. But it tends to be a normal school day, but until a seal comes up and Shana meets Fragne for the first time as he throws the cards around, distracts her, and we see, but nonetheless, it shortly stopped, and he's gone by for the last time we meet, and Yuji, being morally high, doesn't want others to be harmed. Or we get a wicked nod with everything that we see here, with all these characters that are, shown around are actually becomes characters that we know later on, but simply Yuji decides to take the energy that he has left, dedicate it so the others won't get harmed. Nonetheless, later Yuji finds Shana and invites him to his room because it's raining, and with fish out of water jokes about changing clothes. Yeah, and just want to say this, it's oddly weird how they give us this tad bit about her not needed to taking baths, but yet she takes baths in the series. I mean, it makes sense if you're trying to relax, but it's a weird tidbit once you rewatch this. Also, there's no school tomorrow, so they can actually plan this. And pretty much the plan is that they use Yuji as bait, and oh god, Yuji, act blind, act like you didn't do anything. Also, tidbit thing, that this is actually a really good scene when you notice that they actually, the third part kind of solidified that they had a thing for each other. Go watch the series. And after Fragne's monologues about talking about the souls, we see Marjorie. Also cool. The cool fact, I actually never knew that it was actually a nursery rhyme for Marjorie's name, and so that's why that she does rhymes. Yeah, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but you know what? That's a cool fact. So, more information for you. Later upon the day, they set up a plan, and Yuji can see the torches, and it's odd because it's not supposed to be pulsing. Both try to find out what's going on, and they find that it's Marjorie, and now with her luring him out. Besides that, Yuji gets slapped because of the torches keep disappearing, but hey, Fragne's lured out, and with Marjorie's transformation, it looks like that both of them are going to be teaming up, as he looks to ooh strong for Shana and nearly gets killed because of the explosion Yuji sets. With a great opportunity, Shana strikes but nearly attacks Yuji, but figures out as Yuji gets captured because of the treasure that he has inside. The viewers learn why he's so important and why he has so many people, because of the doll that he had. He wants the doll to become human. With now Shana and Marjorie talking about what happened, and she gets attacked by Marjorie, getting her mood up, and sets him off to save him. Dawn sets, and Yuji is at a ceremony to let his energy to give to Amine, but the two set off with their plans as the fight goes similar before, but with the plan being untold, seeing how souls are being devoured, challenging him as if not, the world be destroyed. And Yuji figures out that the bell is summoning the city is devouring souls actually, and with Shana getting closer to the doll's trap, Shana and her sacrifices herself to defeat her, but with Fragne being really to end her. Also, she saves the city because of the bell breaking, but not till the flame of heaven begins to actually get loose and defeats him. With it looks like that Yuji's gonna die with midnight striking. Yuji gets back to health because of the midnight lost shot, and we laugh at home. So yeah, that's the first 7-8 episodes of the anime, pretty much, with smaller changes towards things compared to the light novel, but yet it's not really, because Marjorie gets in too early, and all this stuff is pretty much different from the anime and from the light novel. So what do I say about this? Is this a good introduction for a newbie? Okay, I guess, but if you already watched the series, this is like a side quest, if anything. I really wouldn't say it's worth watching, even if you're watching the series, but if you really want to watch it, go ahead. If you really just want to watch this, I'm being real with you, it's just because of the Alistair transformation. It's worth it because of that. Alright, so now we're officially out of that movie spot of the arc. So for now, we're going to be talking about the rest of the series. And this is happening between episode 9 and 14, where we pretty much get a relationship between Kazumi and Shana and the latest villains of the following arc. And Shana feels self-conscious because of body-related issues because, oops, I feel dirty saying it like that. But pretty much with everything that's going on between these two, we get glimpses of what the new villains do, and oh my god, they are kissing. and they're supposed to be brother and sister. Oh, yeah, this is disgusting. But overall, besides that being the big thing that, twists the viewers, it's more just an arc to kind of just more or less establish the relationship between the two and kind of keep things going forward as of the series going on so far. But out of anything, we do get a backstory on the whole situation with Shana and how things have become so far. And to give the basic gist of everything that has happened, it's pretty much the meeting of Alistair and Shana and complying to all the Crimson Slayers, aiding her to the next step, and where she meets Alistair and learns the treasure, and if she's being used for the treasure, and she'll be passing on after learning and hearing this so far, she accepts it. And so, if you haven't watched it, this is how Shana gets her name, because the sword is called Shana, and we get more of a easier way to understand how the world is structured in that way because of what the job of the Flame Denizen is. It's to restore balance. And so that's why a lot of times when they have to give artificial souls, it's a way to keep things balanced and not have people feel like the world's coming to an end in a lot of ways. Or continuing on to a festival, as Yoshida and Yuji get closer, she finds out that she's actually a Mises, and things kind of go in a drastic direction. And before things can get more drastic, Shana finds them, but Alistair convinces her not to do anything stupid, but yet the situation looks like it's bleak, as both are conflicted because of her finding out and Shana feeling jealous in a lot of ways, but things change into a direction because of Alistair convincing her not to do anything stupid. And the one thing I definitely will say this, to this point of the episodes that we actually see Shana to become more human than we would like to say that she is. Comparing her from here and then the first episode, you can definitely see that she's become more and more as a person, as pretty much the plan is now that everything's set up. And Yuji was right with the things that would happen, but the things that would happen is what things are now starting to pick up and whatnot. As they deal with her and understand her love for him, we actually see the plan that they put together to get the soul regenerated by midnight. They have to have a pure heart and they'll exert it to change it up. If anything, the energy source they'll slowly drain over time. And now the final arc of the season is to save Yuji as Shana and Winham goes into the castle to get this thing situated. And after a fight with the robots and their energies being sucked, it's the system that they're in at. And after telling her superior that it doesn't want to kill Yuji and love him, Wilhelm understands and to let her go. As the plan goes, that Shana is there to go and save Yuji. Where, if anything, Yuji kind of saves himself in some way, as he was in the orb, he was conversating about his memories and kind of puts in a way to say that it is nothing that she's done. And yeah, after that and her screeching about things that being a pure heart and exposing that idea, but after convincing her and everything, Shana saves Yuji and realizes that she has feelings for him. But before we actually see her say anything, we have another 2 seasons to go with, and things go in a blur, and out of anything it ends is them being saved and things pretty much going back to normal. And so if anything to say is that we were teased out of everything that we could have thought of. And as season 1 more or less gives a good backbone to things to expect from Shana, but we have a bumpy season 2 to go with before we can see a good ending towards this story.
Okay, it's been a while with you, Shana. It's been too much. I think I'm justified to say what I'm about to say for this review. For one, this will be talking about the second part of the anime. But let's run you back on from the anime. The first season we meet Shana as Yuji has a near-death experience and learns that his soul isn't real, and having an existential crisis, he decides to help the Flame Denizen. As it goes further, we see them develop a bond as Shana gets used to the world and to Yuji helping her. Besides her love of melon bread, we actually get to see the wrinkles of the relationship grow. Stuff about being loved, giving her strength, and Haggerty getting existential dread from Yuji. And nothing about the first video, unless you want to hear about my old mic and further ends and hangs out with this girl. But after the summer, they go back to school as Yuji gets deja vu and they figure out the unsettling feeling they have with someone from their past, Fredrin, showing up. After that, we see the same thing happen. It's September, silly.
Do you remember?
As now, we pretty much have Yuji figuring things out. He's reliving the past and relives it in a dream and goes back to reality. A weak enemies aside, nothing big is happening at this moment. The first episode keeps the status with the love interest for Yuji with Kazumi and Shana, showing a new character and showing Marjorie still being Marjorie. But the dreams keep happening and it keeps getting controlled by others. But as they figure it out, they figure who is doing this. Mayor the Jester. Clussy Fever. Anyways, they admit that it is a dream as they try to wake up Kazumi to get out. Yuji figures that she is inside him. Pause. But it ends with Mayor dying and saying that they can't escape after she wakes up. Anyways, we later keep seeing the shenanigans with Hecate. The stakes are high already, and they continue to come to a conundrum and have to keep an eye on her. Consistence oblige. But we do see someone who is looking to take over the city. Even Yuji senses him, but left to Ubi because of Hecate. But her being pampered, they still have suspicions. Shana thinks into an act. They get Marjorie on the case and finds out that they're not related, but Shana goes on her own way and find out for herself. But she goes and gets interrupted by the guy earlier, and now being a shinobi, gets buried, and him needed power was going to go after either way. The girl, Earl, as Shana wanted to prove it was her, and it wasn't.
That's cap! Totally cap! That means lie!
We at least know that what's going on for now. The trio is sending the hired guns to hurt them, to test them. But this love triangle has more turns into a love triad, as the next episode explores how Shana feels seeing the new girl around her as competition. Like, if going to war and saving him doesn't establish something, then I don't know what is. But I get Shana can be heartless at times, but when you're being jealous over the new girl being touchy because they've lived in a synthesized royal lifestyle, being compared to part 1, at least she wasn't.
Back there, where did that girl from before disappear to? And those flames on everyone.
Get rid of this one, Alistair.
But what do you?
No, we mustn't open Amistus carelessly.
Yes, that's because you are a thing. You're not human.
No, she wasn't a fish out of water scenario. Anyways, yes, talk about product. So during the distribution to get the English dub, the VAs was changed from Tabitha St. Germain to Cherma Lanning, while Ri Kunyamiya, I know I butchered that, don't, keeps her role in the original version. This is because of Ocean Dub did the original voice acting in English, while Crunchyroll finished the final parts in the movie. Personally, I don't have a problem with the cast for Shana. You can hear it, how blunt both VAs are, but I personally like the Ocean Dub version. I'm that kind of person. I like Ocean Dub Dragon Ball as well. And after the conversation with Shana and Kazumi goes about seeing the differences, Rink goes out, but he wants Kazumi. By the way, this is a side episode. I'll be blunt, it's an episode about creating tension in the relationship for Kazumi, motion sickness, and be real, but it's a big nothing burger. Look, I'm using this for a catch up. Honestly, and I'm just gonna be truthful with you, I don't like these kind of episodes. I get that some people do like them because, you know, the beach episode joke, but if I'm gonna be blunt and for real with you, these kind of episodes I really just don't like as a plot driven story. It just makes stuff feel like it has less importance for it. But after that, we get to a training underway with Yuji and the boys, and they are not wanting to be lackeys anymore. Backstory, basically what we've seen with season 1 baddies, isn't the start of things, but it's a connotation of conflict. But she takes the kids under her wing and helps them as a kind-hearted soul sacrifice himself to save Marjorie. Oh damn. With the boys contemplating to train with her. But the side quest, Yuji is casting spells that give Alistair and Shana a shocking flame color. The silver flame is a mysterious flame that we're going to be learning about. And we don't know about now, but we're giving as it is cursed and all the other things involving Marjorie. But it's festival time, baby. Wait a minute. Isn't it a side episode again? No, shut up. This actually has plot import. And Kazumi gets the important role, pack watch for Shana, as she has to play Dorothy. This festival is pretty much a fairy tale festival for this class. So, you know, all those festival things happened with the Romeo and Juliet and like the Yellow Brick Road. Oh, but later on, oh, look at this fun gentleman. Anyway, after the roles, the girls get to know about it's fun to pursue. Just wait, are they getting stalked? And they turn tables? Oh, it's Yuji's dad. But after dinner, he talks to the girls about the guy's perspective as it's because of chemistry that him and her mom can stay. Wait a minute. No, it's his mom are still in love. At the end, we get to learn where he was, and he's in Paris. And whoever they're talking about will get on their hands on Yuji. At least it's a continuation of episode 10. With the festival being set up and all that, but it's not till the second half of the episode, after girly things, and they talk about before bed, and another episode to show the subplot. It's a big nothing burger, because of the end. Valamina gives info about the Yuji situation. Valamina discusses about the situation while the two trading and learning his name is Felis, but it was prompt to as her job becomes as the flame haze. But the festival is here and everyone's dressed up. These two treading waters, but only with the autumn festival. While that's happening, Valamina puts on Marjorie about the situation as the festival winds down. And they have the situation. The votes are happening, and then they took and who gets the place. And before Shana can say anything, by the way, she won. A disaster occurs and the episode ends with Felis showing up. And guess what happens to Yuji? Okay, I didn't expect the silver, but I'll walk with it. But now, because of the big conundrum with Yuji being the same soul as Johan, but Shana protects Yuji and they go into a spa, and the boys investigates with them about what was the silver flame, and look, his love interest dies. It's where Mina and Shana are in a two-way attack Yuji and let him get taken or killed. But defeating both they get the background on the situation. That Yuji the link to Marjorie should be and what she did and what she was thinking in the big picture. With the second half of the episode going about Felis and the engagement link, but ends with Marjorie regrets about what she did. But like the start of the series, go back to normal at least. Tanaka did not know that. Overall, the episode ends with a eerie way, with Kunyumi can, I swear, a swerve. Going on after the events, that they wait for Shana and Marjorie to make jokes about the situation. Needless, nothing happens. They bordered on the agreement not to rip Yuji into shreds. And after this bonding experience with Shana and Kizumi, she omits to tell Yuji that she has feelings for him. Finally! It's finally happening, guys! It's finally happening! We've been waiting all this time! But with the spell, it'll protect him from any chicanery, but basics of the power shifting. But apparently Yuji is harboring more souls. Jesus. They continue with the festival, and talk about the living in the moment, and then it's okay to take a breather from what happens. And look who swerves the first. Felix just pulls with the and Yoha just kills her. Okay, not really, but shows for Yubi. But honestly, I think Shana was in the right with the way that she was treating her at the start. Should have let her. We should have let her. This gets Marjorie aside. It's explained that the creator of the Midnight Lost Child casted from there, but nonetheless knowingly breaks the spell and turns into the group, stabbing and impaling Yuji and sealing the tool back in. And after attempting everyone, Hecate shows up with fake core, and without thinking about it, to destroy Yuji. That what you get from giving her existential crisis. But the plan was to sap out the memories so she can fuel herself. But without the fight being over, and what the fuck, Yuji turns into Johan, and that I can't keep up with this. This shit, but he reverts back and Shana is on the watch. But with Felix saying that she'll be back, and us knowing the fun has just begun. Hey, this is actually just a correction before we actually go on further. It's not just memories. It's not memories. It's actually just life force. If there's a clip for this episode, there's the clip with Felix giving Kazumi a cross to contact her if she's in need. But this whole episode, just throwing a locator in Yuji now. For now, the big picture is about the city and what can it become. A battleground to warfare and Mises. And now the villains are getting ready to use Johan, and Kazumi's having conflict feelings about death and respect. If you like the relationship development, but the Goyo gets caught up with the situation as Ida wants to have a normal life because of how dangerous this life can be, but as the others work to help up with Marjorie and Shana. I mean, it's understandable for what happened to him. This is a work that is immensely impactful onto someone's own self. So if you just decide to dip, I completely understand. Next episodes, it starts with the group training to help Yuji protect himself, and we learn that spells work with the sense of and God, the CGI flip. And Marjorie getting closer to get the silver flame. We get to movement where Shana kind of be submissive, but Yuji finally gets it where he has to get stronger and he can't live his old life. And honestly, I get the overall arc of the movement that he's getting. And something that realizes that is not what you're asking for, it's what's given. How of a juxtaposition both characters have from the first and second part as of now. But afterwards, Yuji's mom being exhausted, they conversate what happened when he leaves, and plus with Kazumi bringing food. Once the following day rolling around, Yuji has a conversation with Kazumi, and it all goes into his face about it that Yuji is coping about the situation. Things are going too fast, but Yuji's getting into the situation where he needs Shanta's help. Yuji is facing Zubri, as he couldn't get the sense of his presence because of Zubri is a TLDR. They're agents that can investigate but are extremely weak. But in a heated situation, Yuji takes their suggestion and walks with Yuji, gets kidnapped. No, let's not say that. Let's say taken hostage. But we figure to see Ida's on a date and saying him he wants help from them. Dreads out the situation aside for Marjorie and decides to alert them. Finally, they reach the destination and finds out that Zubri is casting it. As Yuji figures that out, the plan as they form a beacon around the town to attract more of the Mises to kill them. And he has an escape route because he is multiple of himself. But Yuji decides to stop taking orders and kick ass as he finally gets into the situation, not talking about the copium, and takes action for his problems, with Shana joining them to help them and finding out who is about to attack from the distance and take them out. Before it's over, we happen to see either son of a bitch! Anyways, they get conflicted and continues with them making the beacon, and what happens is that Yuji gets stabbed again. Philomena is being taken to Saprath. By the way, that's the character that is the big conflict of this episode. But we're talking about that as she's doing her best, as Shana said about Saprath has done damage and to her ability, making it worse over time. Also, Kazumi's here because plot reasons. But with from the assassin, we get an info dump about Saprath and how he operates and how Shana is doing. Nonetheless, this episode is just one big fat info dump for a showcase about him. Blah blah blah. While the fight goes, Yuji is looking for Shana and the group. As the fight goes on, Philomena goes to light and turns on her. Guys, looks, Shana is back, guys.
And I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking on...
Finally. Now go finish him off. But you can thank Johann. Marjorie's spells also casted to aid in the fight with the information, and that's about to be figured unlimited source of power. They set up to stop him by clearing points to stop the power, and they trap him. You hear that, wait, they changed it. But this plan is all by Yuji, and Shana gives the final blow and ends the battle. With that, it goes back to normal, and Shana stops shutting up.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
And even the villains are back. It was the test to see anything that goes down. But after all those things, school seeing how the casting is changing around, Yuji's dad shows up and tells Yuji that he's going to have a little brother. Mom's pregnant. So now he has a reason now not to leave. But as Christmas is rolling around, Shana and Kazumi finally decide to stop with this chicanery and to know, who does Yuji really like? And so they both make a letter and they say to meet him at the festival. And whatever entrance he goes with, that's who he loves. If only we knew. The Hecate is here, and Hecate is going to take Yuji! Yeah, they're back for the last part, guys! But pretty much what happens now is that Yuji gets captured and the Midnight Lost Child is taken. As it's taken, now Marjorie, Shana, Philomena, and Kazumi is now there to stop them. But the biggest situation that does occur is why they need the Midnight Lost Child. It was for this machine. This knight is going to be fueled by the Midnight Lost Child, so it cannot be stopped. But now it goes into this situation as both parties are now fighting for it. As Philomena and Shana are fighting the big two, they're attacking, but yet they're not attacking them because they want to protect it more than having them be killed. As Yuji, on the other hand, he's inside looking for it. Looking for the Midnight Lost Child. And the biggest thing that does happen is that Shana does get an opportunity to get in and help Yuji aid inside. But the biggest thing with certainly is that they actually meet the big machine. As they meet the big machine, they create a strategy where time is ticking, they have to do it fast, so Shana is going to be doing the main of the work. By the way, Yuji's fading away. But Yuji somehow gets the final hit and he retrieves the Midnight Lost Child. As he retrieves the Midnight Lost Child, the episodes ends with Hecate just escaping and them escaping again. And at least we're getting a happy little Christmas.
You know, I think I was a little too harsh with Shada's part 2, with it more being a tease and me not wanting that and expected more. We'll stop on our main quest of reviewing the animes. We're stopping on the OVAs. If you don't know what is an OVA, it is an original video animation. These
were a way to get more content back in the day as the series went on. Typically they're one-offs, or if they're multiple, then story contained onto a format, or you could be an adaptation as a way to dedicate towards hardcore, I meant hardcore fans. So if you're wondering, should I watch this at all? I like Dragon Ball movies. You're watching it for Dragon Ball, right? But nonetheless, this is Shana's act. It starts with them appearing to be in a heated mind, as it's everyone is feeling the heat wave. But when Yuji finds a telescope, they swap bodies. Alistair tells him that they found the reshuffle. Oh, that does what happened. Lewd humor curses about this, but let's just say this, that Shana is very protective, because who wouldn't be? But it's giving foreshadow that if the flame haze is known to be in a big problem, and it figured out that bad things can happen. But they decide to go into a karaoke booth, but Marjorie is in the way, and gets suspicious, but stays out of it. Limelight, they chose to go to a son of a bitch! And now, getting suspicious, they have to deal with Velmania. And pretty much, let's just say this, that Yuji kinda just saves them because he just got game.
I love you so much!
Heading home, they meet up with Yuji's mom. Says Shana should clean herself up because of being sweaty, but nonetheless, we do see a scene of
Making a mother of all omelets here, Jack.
But after all this, we actually begin to see the side effects of what's happening as Shana begins to look pale and stumble upon herself. But yet the biggest thing that does happen is that Yuji decides to get everything out, and okay, that doesn't happen, but it would have been funny if that did happen. Yeah, they have to look for it now, and don't worry, they get it in the nick of time. They reverse back, so you don't have to keep playing with the rules that I had to put in. But everything just folds into itself and becomes back to normal. They just say it was a fight, and then they go on with their day. And after all that, we head back to Shana. But Velmania starts to have doubts about their relationships with each other as she's beginning to be more suspicious. And she goes to someone that we all should go to. Ooh, a mom. She goes to Yuji's mom to see the situation, to help her out. And pretty much it's that, motherly thoughts says to kinda, don't be so pushy, but just decided we're just going to see what she's doing, and gets Yuji on board with this. So yeah, Yuji's now helping Velmania, and they'll split into the same spot, but she still feels suspicious about Velmania and might have to readjust her thinking about the interactions of the world. But they go to Marjorie's and nothing there as well. Their investigating looks to be a doubt, but Yuji promises to talk to her. And back at school, Shana gets taken and not being able to talk. Wow, gee willikers, it's like something is happening here. Shana is taken shopping by the girls, and after playful banter, but we're still all shocked by Shana not being able to, talk pretty much for the whole point. She's radio silent, and Yuji asks why she's so worried about her, and she admits that she's doing this because she doesn't want her to feel regrets. It's from their secrets. Yeah, it's one of those sisterhood thing, guys. Even though feeling like this, that she's growing up and whatnot, we feeling to see what's the big hubbub. She's cooking! She brought the wrong flour.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich what?
An idiot sandwich, Chef Ramsay.
Nonetheless, things revolving around Ita talking about what went down, and it's just a big nothing burger to just by time. Quit stalling with it! As that goes down, they head back to see what's going on, and they made dinner for Velmania. And Shana got help from Miss Trad Kazumi. Nonetheless, that they make Velmania build chemistry with Yuji because, are such a sore throat towards each other that they try to figure a way. Hey, and how does it taste?
It's delicious.
Delicious! This episode ending showing why today was so important. Today was the first meeting that they had with each other.
Oh, that's cute. Now that I like.
We start with Shana tracing this person that is a torch, and we get flashbacks about this girl named Joko. Oh, and Joko soul is pretty much captured, as Shana is going to be played as her. But pretty much for like the short being, we see what happened to her, and then the investigation goes further into who took her soul, and they find the person that has American citizenship to be the main suspect because this person has just reappeared after 10 years. With the news anchor saying that he doesn't know how he got there, we're kind of in the fog of war things. We don't know what's happening, but yet we know that the big suspicious is why was it only her soul captured. She decides to look further into this as the suspects on how many tortures there are, and for sake of the investigation, she's now out participating with humans. Ew. With all those things that we learned about the situation, and the girl was with the parents' disapproval of Hamaguchi. Well, I wouldn't really say disapproval. I would have said more of looking for the safety of her, because when we get there, we will get there. With it following day, Shana's investigating of the school and Hamaguchi. It's found out what happened on Hamaguchi's point of view, as she does the most autistic thing and just throws it out there. And no, I'm not being mean. It be what it be. And skips class to learn. We learn what they were doing, and it was what they were doing at the park, but Shana makes the point of the investigation and figures that she becomes a torch 3 days ago. But that'll be tomorrow's task. As of now, that we're figuring what was the situation with the mom, and the love for her daughter, and yet we have flashbacks around what happened and how much Juko loves her mom. But the big schism of the situation, Shana learns about Joko more and more and realizes that she's more of a carefree person and that she has to adapt to those, and that makes her mother smiles. Okay, who's cutting onions? But the investigation continues. We get more lore about the love and the day before that goes on into the carnival with a bop. Until the kiss in front of her mom and the argument that happened to the following time. Shana figures out the pieces and learns what happened to the guy with the suspicious man with the camera must have been the denizen. As they figure it out, they question why his soul wasn't captured as well. As the following day, Shana meets up with Hamaguchi as he wants to take a picture with Shana and wants to investigate the denizen. At the park, the situation happens again with the disappearance of Hamaguchi and the sense of his soul being upon the truck. Someone that would be getting onto a rushing down truck, she somehow gets in and it's suck and seal and meets Yukobot, aka the photographer, as he wanted to collect pictures of young men to create the perfect form. Pause. Shana finds his bluff and talks down on his nature being in his form perfectly, but Yukobo says that the capturing the guys are safe but frozen and threatens to kill them. And what does she do? Of course, overpowers him and takes the treasure tool. Oh wait, the truck. Yeah, the truck crashes and EMT's here to help up with seeing everyone that was in those photos. For one last time, Hamaguchi gets to see Juko before she becomes an afterthought in his mind. As the story is told with a somber ending, a melancholy ending, with Juko's disappearance. But now Shana hopes that she gets into the face of Crimson Lord. Alright, so what did I think of these? Well, I enjoyed these short stories, or I would technically just call them one-offs, because they're the same length of a regular episode, just a little bit longer. I know what I said about the second part of the story really just being a problem where it could be just digested in a couple episodes. But I will say it in this way, especially with these, if it was more put into style of you have these major stories going on, but yet you have these one-offs, I don't think I would have had a problem with the second part. At least with the first part, it was more to build around. The second part did the exact same thing, and at least with this, these are all just shorter stories to kind of just get, you know, more entertainment factor out of these, and the biggest things to get out of them. And I think the one thing I'll actually give about these is that I actually really enjoyed how different these all were. And I will give all its flowers. We get to understand what more about the treasure and what the implications could be if someone found out. Oh, and the impact that it can have. The relationship with Belmanita and Shana, and why it's so important to have their relationship. It has gotten to this point. You can also put that with Yuji, call it what you want, and how bleak the job of a flame dentist can be, especially when it comes to love and newly loves. Yeah, this makes me depressed. So after spoiling everything, would I recommend these, or would I just tell you to skip up and continue on to the third part? Well, like I said earlier, if you like them, go on and watch them. But personally, I'm kind of conflicted in the way of headcanon, because the first two can definitely be could be before the second part, and the third one can be kind of considered like an episode 0 in some way, but what do I know? That's headcanon. You know what happens to headcanon? You know, there's something strange doing all this. I mean, we've gotten here from the start and seen these two characters grow, not just as denizens, but as people as well. And yeah, there's some parts of life you don't like about someone, but sometimes they'll grow into a mutual. For me, that's what I can say the final part of Shana is to me. It's the friend that was good friends at the start, but we swayed in high school, but we came back around. But now, matured, you can realize that you've gotten to get on the same path again and catch up to see that the series that you thought was missed potential because of something more to you. This is the final part of Shana. Well, what more can I say but see Shana just destroy all these creatures? We're back to what I'm liking to see, but wait, is that Yuji? Okay, we'll get to that, but we immediately go back on Christmas Eve to see what actually happened, and we see what he's chosen, and well, he vanished. We see what Yuji's disappearance has an impact on them. His mom is now coddled Shana, but she is still digesting things. Also learn how remembering works in the universe is that if you've known about a Crimson Denizen, your memories are still alive and well until they disappear for good. We get flashbacks to the night that he vanished. Shana went to see if he's made his decision to go with Kazumi, but nothing. Shana quickly takes Kazumi to see if Yuji went home, but we get to see his belongings vanish. But as bleak it feels, they still know that he's alive. And besides that, with Shana, Marjorie has other ideas with what she wanted to do with Yuji, his midnight lost child, and take the demon out of him. And yes, if you're wondering what the demon was, it was the silver. Yeah, the one with the poor CGI. And Marjorie, he also got Saito a job at Outlaw. We're seeing how Velmanita, with studying that battle and understanding how the attacks worked, was actually unusual. But speaking of training, we get to see a new ability using the flame of the manifestation, and we get at the tagline that we gotta get stronger. But we finally see what those scenes with Yuji are about, and that's been about learning about the war and understanding what the denizens are partaking in. And the voice Yuji has been listening to has been convincing him to join him on that battle and becoming saw human to walk with him. For what's happening and for what changes, our Yuji has decided to join him with Hecate on his side, as we know so far.
Why, Triple H? You son of a bitch! Why? Tell me why!
The reason I went to depth with this is because I remembered how much of an impact this was for me. This is a turn, and not just a turn, but a betrayal onto the levels of the story that has been giving investment that anyone's been watching and feeling. It truly felt like seeds were planted in the second part, but how that second part went with everything, it kind of just folded itself. That it wasn't that good of a way to just say it. It more just personally felt like that, like we were going to see the turn, but it just didn't feel like it yet. It just felt like that they went back into course, and now we're just seeing that betrayal happen. It just doesn't had that gravitas. And this is coming from a wrestling fan. If you're going to make someone turn, you gotta make it feel so important. It just felt like he just dipped, like he just found out that he was the father, okay? But after the fight to unite the autonomous zones of Shanghai, we get more information on what they'll do with it. But we'll come back to that and learn that Shana's gotten a letter from her, and learn that, do you see from the start, a letter saying that she needs to unite with herself. But we get to learn that the outpost, that there's some tension with Yuji's leadership, as they don't believe in him. But as they talk, he tells we must stop the flame of heavens and that flame, and as it looks like the war will be heating up with tension, as he shows the suspicious character, but talk is cheap and decides to attack him and gets him bare to resolve to be put in line. We at least get to know how powerful he's become as the episode ends, as we get to see the final face. Well, after Saito gets on board and figures out who's the Crimson Denizen, he calls Edith to help Marjorie as it's important. And with tension rising, we get to know what's going on. Everyone senses the presence, and Marjorie now will get to go, and with Ita is helping her. Everyone is put on to know the situation. Even Kazumi is here to aid in. As Yuji reminds A's what happens, he's back to give answers finally. Marjorie finds out to be him, shocking. Yuji's reminisces what has gone down with the journey, and what's the first time meeting Shana, and all the things that is upon their journey with all the turns that it brought us. And one thing he states is that he changed and is keeping Kazumi out of it, but he's still loving him after all the things and finding out about his secret. With knowing his sibling is to keep his parents company, as the two finally looks upon each other as the opposites of sides of the bridge pillar. With the two to finally meet, he's surrounded, and he says that his true name after casting, that is saying his name is Yuji the Snake of the festival. As the polar opposite of the flame of heavens, like Alistar, his preparations, Shana in stance with the others as they attempt to capture him. Kazumi gives some light on the view of the situation, that Shana knows that's Yuji and does not want to harm him, with Shana becoming more shocked because of how different he is, and is ready to strike but is hesitant because that's Yuji. And they explain how they need each other, and like anyone getting the I like you question, she asks why now. He admitted that he does, but he was scared, but as Shana dashes off and gives chase, but the information upon the silver, and oh my god, that's CGI. Yuji gives that information that it's more of a cog in the machine of the people with strong emotions, as Shana tries to stop him from telling the truth about what Marjorie did, killing those men. Cold-blooded. As she breaks down, realizing the truth, and gets an existential crisis from all of this. Man, Yuji, this is the second time Yuji has done this. What a dog. Now with them alone, they face off with yelling talking points, and he was telling before. He asked her the question, but I'm going to be paraphrasing here. Do you think that you can protect your loved ones? Would there be enough flame denizens to protect the city? In a way, this is a dilemma that a lot of heroes face around their journey. Is the price of someone's life. If you don't know the person, does their life have value? And what about many people's lives? This question Yuji came to facing and learning about the life of the Flame Haze. Their life runs to the ground and disappears. If you need a real world comparison, I think in football is actually a great example of the running backs, of how nowadays that they run to the ground of their rookie deals until that contract year comes up and they try to lowball them. Some will submit and let them get their payday, and some of them will let them walk and see what would happen to them. But instead, he wants to save Shana, like it or not, to be by her side. He did this for her to get stronger. With the big conflict, Yuji takes Shana and the Crystal Altar. Now Shana captured the council meeting, figures the plan to take over, and the viewers learn how complex the situation is. But we're up with Shana and we see how everything's going with her, but the main focus is that Yuji trying to sell her on the idea of joining his side, with Shana being more frightened with the power dynamics. And oh god, this feels weird. Moving on with how Marjorie is doing it, the books gives the catch up with the pending of war and how difficult and manipulative they can get to have members join. We get to see what Saito is up to with Outlaw, with him getting trapped. Idiot. But as he sits in the room, we have a new character. That's Rebecca. She gets Saito to know what's going on, but he'll be stuck in for a moment. But as we get back to the story of her and Velmina's relationship, with both of them having a dirt patch of their relationship. But with war looming, we get to see the outlaw's strategy, and like the episode before, to figure out things, and Rebecca is being what we know for now, destroying a wall and leaving and taking Saito with her to help Velmina. The episode ends with Shana reminiscing about the feeling that she had just earlier before, with the situation once before, saying that love is the restricting spell that will get anyone to fall on one knee. But we get to see who's here right now, and that's Hecate. In an ambush, she just attacks Shana in a way of her own accord. Mainly this is important because we get to learn that the plan to open the gate to reclaim the snake's body. With Shana down, Yuji comes around to save her and breaks down the reason not to kill her, saying that another flame haze would just come out with Alistair, so she is bonded to the person that is the flame haze. But nonetheless, that we're building towards the war. More and more, we see what Kazumi is up to. Ooh, and hey, I know that guy, but more to figure out about the treasure tool. Dressed up, the journey towards more and more, Yuji is saying that he's protecting everyone. And back to Kazumi, we get her explaining the situation and the tool, as she feels with love and all the feeling that both halves have gone to two different directions. And the story time to explain, just to really just understand the cost of victory as he loses his existence, with the prince and the monster growing with purpose towards each other's one's death. Pretty much this whole story, in my opinion, gives a paraphrasing of purpose, because in a way that you get so sucked up of destroying one thing that it only becomes the thing that motivates you, and then it kind of becomes the thing that you have to constantly go after. If you don't have the thing that you've been working so hard towards, was all the things that you've done just worth anything? With war starting up and Shana can only do is sit and wait for opportunities to join, we learn where they attacked all across the world, in attacking Outlaw, as it looks like the heart of the battle, and we get to the two generals into a fight. And the Hazes have no doubt that to keep up the attack. Upon back to the villains, they're on a path of pilgrimage. Back to Shana, by the way, as now that she wants to see Yuji be more conflict of mind, and the idea of merging as one is the way to stop him, and as she plans to break out with a blast from the distance, Shana is actually freed. Well, the following episode, this is a big heist in details, as Shana still looks for the perfect moment to strike, as now the plan is to take down the restricted spell. We also see where Valentina is, as she's on her way inside to destroy. We also learn in more detail the reunion is that they, as the snake, wants to become more closer to the denizens to make it easier to attack. But now we figure with Shana with an opportunity, and the giant golem destroys the underground soul. But Shana seems to be fine, and there's a realization for her where she figures that the bracelet is keeping her weak, and she needs to keep going. With her lowest she snaps on one guard and destroys it. With rage, she calls for the Shakugan no Shana.
He said it! He said it!
With the spirit on their way to the rightful owner, with the two coming together, the chain is broken off. She's back being the flame-haired, burning-eyed hunter. Now at full strength, she makes her way out as Snake is getting closer to his body. Shana is on the lookout for the rescue party, but she stumbles into the Palace of the Stars, and with the camel trying to stop her, and gets surrounded. As that commits, Valentina is still looking for her, and she finds the location and gets caught. But as soon enough, the bird requests not to go to central of the building. Back on Shana as she's handling the situation with the inner monologue to find herself to become stronger. We get to see the nun as she brought reinforcements to help in the fight. As now with Shana, it looks like that she's going her way, as slowly getting her stronger per kill, with Shana realizing that the power of the flame haze is what the symbol that she'd use and has reached a greater power. Finally meeting up with Valentina. Next episode with Saito is doing, before we get into the icy climate, explains what's going on inside, but Saito goes on and sees how Marjorie's doing, and after a prep talk, he goes into and gives a talk to her body of how he feels about the relationship, but her waking up and admits to feelings for each other. But on with the action, as the humans force is holding off to their point until the monsters teleports, as much of episode 11 has a great amount of time upon the conflict, but let's be real here, we're all here for Saito and Marjorie's relationship, if anything, as looks who's here to keep them in place for Snake, as Rebecca, Valentina, and Benitro takes him on. Shana goes on without them. With that, they're going to get closer to their fight going on, with more being adaptive battle with spells. Valentina's healing has no effect. So yeah, pretty much this fight is just a survival challenge, if anything. But they're at the doors, and Snake unlocks his body. It's so over, guys. Alistair goes back to Shana as they'll become one sooner than expected, as Shana heads towards them with the gang, and it looks like that their fight is gonna go down under, as with the effects that it takes as they attempt a blood seal, as it does nothing and it actually does more harm than helping them, and he's released. Actually, it does nothing, and this shenanigans. Back to Shana as they meet again, and it takes on Yuji once again, and we learn more about the Grand Order with that. It's successful. Completed, it molds the world as its own concept. After that, she yells to Yuji that she needs to unite as one, united in acceptance and united with love. She admits that she has feelings for Yuji, and she tells Yuji that she must conquer him.
Hey, yo!
To force to do what she says. Shana decides, it's a shield, decides the fate of the world. But now the two faces off with the fate of the world is by their blades, as the others around the war is upon the ceiling in all dimensions. With the two and collides the professor turns his machine and the natural disaster erupts as it's the perfect opportunity as the invaders to invade the Allies' bases. But we have more on these two as we get back at story on the contract that Shana decided that the case-to-case basis upon finding on her decision. So to give context, this just means that Shana pretty much just has like the ultimate say of what she will go after, as she's independent in that way, and Alistair is just going to just follow her way. With Snake freed, Shana keeps fighting before they are separated. Because of being freed, Shana kisses Yuji, vowing to defeat him. So you're gonna cock tease us just like that? Come on! Back onto the human world as Yuji announces his cause for everyone calls Zanadu as blood, sweat, and tears upon the ground as they retreat to strategize with them figuring out what to do with the small forces heading towards Heaven's Road. The plan in full force, they start to get things going as they plan to have one big blast, but with all things protecting the wall to keep the point there. But Yuji, as he looks upon his flaws of the world and how all souls won't be remembered when they're gone, the flame haze would be gone, with a speech saying they all won't be needed to fight as they'll be with Snake to make peace. With the humans there all turned by his words, they lose their purpose as slowly we could see the tide going his way. With the effects now in place that they're figuring out what's going to be the plan, as the plan and spurs to help the general appears to aid its men. In the fight, they're going to overpower him and spare him before transforming as the soldiers retreat, as that's whoa, the man's really showing his value right now, taking him down. We get to learn about the four gods of the earth, and they have the same goal as the Allies, aka Outlaw, but nonetheless they pretending that the palace is where it is, but look who's back. Marjorie closes him and that did nothing, but we do get to know that this will be his last fight to help with the cause. With blood washed in the rain, we see one of the commanders pass on with how little that we just knew about his cause will be remembered. In the following episode, look who reappears, Fearless. So we at least know that she'll be playing a part in this, but we get to see what the gang's up to in Hong Kong to reorganize. Shana drives up a plan as she looks to be a long shot, but with the morale low, any plans can work. But with Outlaw recognizing that they're pretty much on their own, as to be cautious with how dangerous things can be. We get back to Yuji and gets to know about the ceremony that will take in Tokyo. But it looks like that the world, or Shana said to convince everyone to join, organize, and prioritize. They'll go to look for the three gods in New York. We get to look at the aftermath and how humans are affected, especially with some of the losses, and how they pissed at us. But hey, they're in New York as they're looking for the other three. They'll be interesting. But at the airport, we see what the girls are up to, and they meet with the other hazes. We figured that the plan, and being as emotional as the situation has gotten for Shana to be the holder. We go back to Japan as Ita and Kazumi sees Yuji as they learn about the situation of the heart of the plan at Mishada City, and uses Kazumi in the plan, but he's in the giving mood and lets them question him. And after convincing and learning Kazumi will join, with everything they learn about Misaki City, it will become the battleground for the greater. Ito finally gets he's powerless. He's just trying to reach his goal, with them standing up for his belief just like Shana. And in the weirdest way, they're convinced to at least believe him, but to leave the city. Now with Kazumi, he plans to use her to restore the city as the past. We get how it'll work, as it'll be repaired as relief of the god of creation stress. On the other side, we get to know what's going on the plan. But it looks like to see that they're beginning the process as Hecate sacrifices so she can be reborn and become the savior when the prayers and hopes. With that, their attack as war is reheating as General faces and Shana with the company of others to keep the heat charging up, with the other two facing more, with Kazumi's inner monologue to see how both are fighting one and another. But the fight continues. It comes to a stop as Shana learns that it's Yuji's wish to bring peace to the humans. In a fit of rage, Shana attacks and gets a good hit on him. Things looks like it's gonna get climactic as Shana and Valmia gets ready for the kill. On the other side, the doctor is up to no good with the fleet of robots. We also get Marjorie is executor of the plan with the big spear. Kazumi gets knocked back with now contemplating with the situation. With deciding to sacrifice herself to bring Felis to make them come together, we learn how it's an unrestricted spell and she won't sacrifice herself, and Felis will aid in the fight by the hands of Johan and retrieving the Midnight Lost Child, with him exposing his flaw in the plan. How does the plan and won't do anything being so narrow and underestimating love. Now it seems the fight to be in Shana's way as he's lost a sense of power, with Marjorie's gotten her deal. But as the fight goes further, we also hear the bard talk about the summoning the god and the threatenings of war and the outcome that can occur. But we figure that Shana's plan is to separate the two so Yuji would be vulnerable, with Marjorie creating a spell so they can escape so easily, with Shana striking him a beam of light protecting him, with Yuji under restricted spell as she must get it done now before he masters it. With a clubbing blow, it looks like Xanadu is done. It looks like that they have changed things so they won't be able to eat the human souls, but with the 3 episodes left, it's a no. We see the doctor doing against the new heroes as simply as both have been keeping ground. Back to Kazumi as she learns more about Felis's love and how she feels, and no matter as it is, and be more understandable with their reasoning. But with Johan leaves for good, he gives foreclosure about the plan to keep him in memory. Who's cutting onions? Ugh. And I'll be upfront, this was really about Johan and Felis's relationship with Kazumi kinda just being in the background as being us. Wait, did they just die? Oh boy. With sorrow, soup is perfect. I'm kidding. She's fine for what she can be. It's a decoy spell with it either dying here or fighting here as the old man fights so they can get to safety. Now that's happening with Valentina. Hell, she's even getting a moment of herself to give her spirit. Back to them as we find out about Snake's loss of the dragon's tail and the silver, as having more cards on his sleeves and active the machine, and it doesn't work because of Marjorie. But it failed! We go back to the bard as he is being summoned, but hey, the strategist had an extra plan as we learn the function and how it adapts from loss, and he just goes back to full health at midnight, trickling down as it looks to be too late now as he's summoning his power. But something is wrong. Something gets everyone's eye, and then the god of guidance appears as the plan looks to be changed is now, as the god changed the rules to be loved, not harming humans, as they were stopped from the other flame denizen. You can thank Johan and Felis for this. Nonetheless, Yuji starts the process as everyone's praying for desires, as now they pray they choose a paradise without their freedom, with him choosing to grant their desires. Anyways, with the new world created, they tested it to see the new world as the army goes up for greater pasture, with the group disbanding, but with Snake in chains, Yuji is set free from the snake as they go up he will stay after, as Yuji will face Shana without Snake. Snake praises his commitment, even some won't, also with him committing to the requests that others have. But them going back together, Kazumi gives Valentina the child of the god of guidance, Eustace. Shana decides to tell that Valentina should take Eustace to Sanity, as she says her farewells as her new duties to take care of the child. As now that we finally get to know what will happen, well, Yuji wants to fix the city and reverse what happened with the spell in his hand, being confronted about if she ought to restore Hiyaki, aka the girl that's a part of Shana. But Shana doesn't want this to happen because it would take the memories out of everyone that she's met upon this journey. But it looks to have no input as deciding to fight, not just for the city, but for the city's existence. With the seal fading, it's a Godzilla fight practically, as both go into size to fight. Conversation pursues and finds out that they want harmony, but it caused the whole city as Yuji shouts to never forget him to the city and the citizens. He wants to join Shana, but this has to be solved before then, with Shana punching him and giving him the torch. She admits that she wants to walk with him with a fit of rage, as Yuji admits that this would be his suffering, as Shana attacks him again with all her anger, as she wanted to help him through the way. Also, by the way, nice touch to the first opening.
You with everything!
As the two defeat them, with Yuji, he talks about the regrets that he puts upon people, but Shana says that she loves him through thick and thin and she'll be by his side. In the ending with them kissing before credits. Man. There's no onions this time. Crying. Damn. Well, we're finally here with the series. From humble beginnings with a story that concluded the way do I feel overall. Before I give my overall thoughts, how was part 3? As much I didn't like the second part, this was beautiful. And the way with the turns from the start, it really made the second part really disappointing. I thought well paced that it was, that it really kept through with the story, and it made more characters seem like they had more value and to what was going on with the scope and everything. And personally for me, I felt like that Snake and Yuji really stole the show of being more antagonists and really showing how the character really was, in my opinion, complicated but very still Yuji's character. It does this even with Shana, with her finally being the character I thought she was going to be in the second part, where she was determined and strong, and it had to get real that she really helped herself out of it, even though when she was at her weakest points that she was actually, still being cunning. It was just about the situation that made her different compared to the second one, where I really can just describe her character as just being more a side piece of the storyline. If you're wondering, yes, I actually do really like this one. I wish I would tell you not to watch part 2, but you kind of have to watch part 2 to get part 3. But anyways, how do I feel overall now rewatching this? I've rewatched this since I was a growing child, and now an adult. Would I feel the same with this as I go on and rewatch it? Kinda. I still have that crush on Rebecca though, but I can say this, that how it played out with the series, it's kind of really gave me a different thought of things. I think with all the things that has happened with the things I've watched, this kind of gave me a new way to kind of just get that. As much I didn't like this, especially the second part and some of the first part and other things, but it kept me more interested in a lot of things, because in a lot of ways, especially growing up, you kind of get into this weird thing where if you're not interested in a lot of things, but the stuff that you're interested in, you don't want that thing to go. And that's how this felt. But I think if anything, from rewatching this, it really just gave me a way of thinking that, we'll say this, there are going to be times where you're just going to be sitting there at your lowest, and sometimes you gotta go back to something to get yourself back up so you can try new things. And personally, I think that if you did have to watch this, I think you have to experience everything, because as everything's a vital part of someone's life. I truly think rewatching this, you kind of get a sense of growing up, because the optimism, with a little bit of critiquing and growing up, to now fully understanding the potential that someone had. So if you've gotten any point to my journey of watching these, thank you. I really appreciate it. Alright, so pretty much I just wanted to say thank you for watching. You know what I just said before, I'm gonna kind of just rehash it here. I really appreciate the people that watch this, and will probably watch the next video that I do. It will be the movie. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the other things like the crossovers and whatnot. That might be a back burner thing, but after all these things, I kind of want to figure out what I want to do after these. I still got other things to do that I still have to put back in front, but after that, I can pretty much try to figure what I want to do with the next batch of videos. But anyways, if you like this video, please give it a like. If you dislike it, just like it for engagement purposes, leave a comment for that as well. And if you absolutely love the series, show how much you love the series by also doing that. Thank you. If you're watching this at night, good night. If you're watching this whenever, hope you have a great day.